Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In my previous videos we have discussed the event loop and event timer classes. In this video I am going to focus on an important component in event driven systems, the event observer interface. We will explore the observer design pattern and how it can be implemented in C++. That involves C++ features like runtime polymorphism and abstract classes. Let's start with the basics. In simple terms, there are two entities involved in this observer design pattern. One, subject, which has set up events, and the second one is observer, which are interested in those events. The subject keep tracks of the observers, and when the actual event occurs, it will notify the interested observers. In our case, the event loop class can act as a subject that generates 1 second event, and the timer class can act as observer who is interested for 1 second event for its poll functionality to work. Let's understand the changes needed in different classes. In event loop, it should have, or it should expose APIs to register observer, and it should have notify observer method, which will basically use event observer interface notify method. The event timer, so now it will need a base class event observer, which is interface class, and it has to implement the notify method of the event observer, and in main it has to create an instance of event timer, and it has to register that instance as an observer in the event loop. So let's break down the important method of this event observer class. The notify method, which will be used by the event loop to notify 1 second event. As you can see, this is a virtual function, meaning the derived class can override or implement their own notify functionality, and it is a pure virtual, meaning this event observer is an abstract class which cannot be instantiated. Rather, it can be used as a base class to implement the interface functionality. Okay, let's start the implementation. First I will modify the event loop class. Okay, first thing, I'm using a vector of type EventObserver shared pointer, and there is this register observer 1 second method which will be invoked by the observer to register its observer instance, and then notify observer 1 second method is the internal method to be used by this event loop class. We need to add that, or we need to invoke that method from the run while loop. So I'll call this method. So it will iterate through that observer vector and notify each observer. Let's compile it once. Okay, it's working. Okay, so now let's do the event timer class changes. So now the event timer has to inherit event observer class and implement its own notify method. This will be invoked by the event loop class periodically in 1 second interval. So inside that I'm just calling poll method. Okay, so now I can integrate these changes from in main. For this we will just instantiate this event timer. Since this is a shared pointer, now we have to make the changes, and we'll remove this event timer from 1 second timer, and instead we will do the registration. Register observer 1 second. Okay, if you look at the register observer function, I'm passing event timer object which is of type event timer, but if you look at the actual definition, it accepts event observer class which is a base class of event timer, and it is actually invoking notify on the base class, but the notify of the derive class is getting called. This feature in C++ is called a runtime polymorphism, where the caller invokes a method of the base class, but actually the method of the derived class is invoked. So this is one of the important feature of C++. So now let's test our code. Okay, compilation is working fine. Just yeah, timer is expired after 4 to 5 seconds.